Some damn good tacos in college football. We're excited to announce our title sponsor, Torchys Tacos, for the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk, and the new addition to the Hogville.net family, the Arkansas Pregame Show starring former Hog running back Marshall Foreman, hosted by Jason Pattison. If you're looking for a place to unwind and call the Hogs, Torchys is the place. Torchys' location on MLK in Fayetteville is the proud host of the Arkansas Pregame Show, and it will air 2 hours prior to kickoff of each Fayetteville home game. The Arkansas Football Report airs every Thursday at 7 p.m. in Rogers. Check out the full-service bar on the patio or in the restaurant while you cheer Arkansas on to victory, or any of the great college games across the country. Torchys has you covered with the daily drink specials or the taco of the month with their queso that's made in-house fresh daily. With TVs on the patio or in the restaurant, you will never miss a minute of the action this season. Torchys has 2 convenient locations in Northwest Arkansas, which happen to be the only 2 locations here in the great state of Arkansas.
And everybody, good afternoon, Razorback Nation. It's Thursday, October 5th, 2024, and welcome to the Arkansas Pregame Show with Marshall Foreman. I'm Jason Pattison. We are here live at Torchys Tacos in Fayetteville, just off the MLK, and if you look right behind us, we got Razorback Stadium peering over our shoulder as well. And a huge thank you to Jonathan and the rest of his crew here for all the great hospitality they show us each week. You can also click and like the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and subscribe to the Hogville YouTube channel. You can catch all of the past shows and current ones from Otis, Dudley, Kevin, and now Marshall. Be sure to stop into either of the 2 Torchys locations here in Rogers or Fayetteville, which happen to be, Marshall, the only 2 locations in the great state of Arkansas. Try their queso that's made in-house fresh daily. Also, pair that with the taco of the month, which happens to be right here, the Baja Salmon Taco. You got the blackened salmon with the cooked cabbage slaw and the pickled onions and jalapenos, avocado slice with some cojita, poblano ranch, and cilantro on a corn tortilla. So make sure to pop in, catch the taco of the month, which is the Baja Salmon Taco. Catch also their full-service bar with you as well. So if you're heading to Reynolds Razorback Stadium this afternoon, make sure to stop in. It's literally, if you're parking anywhere on MLK or even close, you can stop in and walk over, have a couple of tacos, and then head over to the Razorback game. As Tennessee comes to town this afternoon, kickoff is at 6:44 this evening. So if you guys are making your way to the stadium, stop by, say hey to Jonathan and the crew, and they'll get you all taken care of. Man, Marshall, another week, another heartbreaking loss, but at the same time, I think that it could be a good thing in a way, just because the Arkansas offense found some light at the very first of the game. And one of the things that I talked to Otis about last week was the tailing green that we saw at the first of the game was not the tailing green that we saw at the end of the game.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, do you think it's still because he's not worked himself in game shape yet, or do you think something else happened to change what he was doing?
I'm not sure. I really am not. I think that's something where I think that we can really kind of expand upon that here, over the next hour or so, because Sam talked about at his Monday press conference, he said that Taylon's having a little bit of problems with confidence. I think that's a catch-22 when, if your offensive line is playing great, your quarterback's playing great. And if your offensive line's not playing great, your quarterback's not playing great. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing too.
I mean, yeah, but most of the time, I think I would want a quarterback that, you know what, if my offensive line is not playing great, or if anyone's not playing great, you know what, fine. I'm going to have to step my game up a little bit more to help them out, to get them where they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Or just take over the game until they get there. And I'm with you on that. And watching the game last week at home, I said the same thing. I said, you can look at his face and tell he's not there. Yeah. I mean, you can tell the confidence wasn't there with him last week. I said that several times during the game.
You saw him third play of the game. You saw him step up in the court in the pocket because it started to collapse on the backside, and he threw a dime. Like, it was a strike. It was a deadbeat ball. I mean, he had him right. He had Taylor, it was Isaac Teslaw. He had him right on target, right in step. And then you see him start to regress a little bit. One of the things that I wanted to see, we can't watch practice, unfortunately, but one of the things I wanted to see is Bobby Petrino going to work to Taylor's strengths and moving the pocket. And what I mean by moving the pocket is not having all five guys kind of move, slide to the left a lot and then slide to the right a lot. What I'm saying is that have some designed rollouts where it's a naked boot, or he's got I really don't have the option of putting a tight end out there right now because unfortunately that whole room is beat up right now.
Okay. Well, wait, hold on. Now you say that. Don't we have a receiver sitting on the bench about 6'4", about 230?
Do
that if he in passing situations, hell, you can line him up as a tight end. He's not going to block anybody. He's just in the pass route.
Limbo Park,
and he's 29 years old and very experienced.
We're gonna have our Limbo Park sighting for the day. I think Limbo Parks knows this kid a little bit too well too, really well too.
There you go. I mean, hey, where there is a will, there is a way. No, but all seriousness, if it's a passing down, it doesn't matter if it's a tight end or a fullback or a receiver. Just put him in. You're throwing the ball anyway. He's going out en route. That makes it harder on the defense to have someone cover him because more than likely you're going to have a linebacker trying to cover this guy, and that's never going to be good.
No, it's not. So I want to pick your brain for a moment. Okay. So first series you saw, actually the first play of the game of the first series, you saw Texas A&M's best defensive end come free.
I think I saw that a lot that game.
I think you kind of know where I'm going with this a little bit too. As a coach, what's one of the first things that you're making an adjustment to whenever you see a guy that's running free like that and so much?
Well, first you find out who blew the assignment. Okay, now if it wasn't a blown assignment, it was worked just like it was supposed to, and that was the guy you wanted to come free. You need to evaluate what you're doing. But honestly, you don't let their best rusher go free ever. I don't care if I'm going to base my whole blocking scheme just to block that one guy. He will be blocked. Someone else may get 3 or 4 sacks that game, but he will not. So I don't understand what they were doing by leaving him free because he is their best pass rusher. Let someone else come free.
So whenever and I mentioned this and we talked a little bit about this before the show today, you saw it wasn't a specific tackle. It was both tackles where they were not even chipping the defensive end and they were moving to the second level. Now, I understand that might be more of a play scheme that they have already drawn up, but don't you at some point shift that scheme a little bit to where at least he's getting an arm on him, he's getting a chip, he's getting something instead of just an Ole whiff?
At some point, yes, you do change that. And if you don't change it, you're not going to be working for very long. You have to be able to change stuff on the fly if you're going to coach any sport. Your best coaches can change things very quickly.
All right, so this is where I really want to pick your brain now. You got a full week of practice,
Okay.
What is the first thing that you're doing with both of your tackles coming into this week, going against it? And listen, A&M's defensive front seven, I think, might be the best in the SEC right now. They're 3-0, but this Tennessee defense is still really, really good on the front. A&M was 8 deep. Okay, A&M was 8 deep on the defensive line. I don't know if you're going to see all of that today as far as the depth-wise, but, I mean, their first 4 are going to be able to go just as good as anybody in the conference. This week, what do you do to help change that? Is it what they're looking at? Is it a scheme thing? What is it?
It's probably a little bit of both. I would definitely make sure Pierce is blocked. I would definitely make sure Thomas is blocked because I think that's their best 2 defensive linemen. But if you want to get a defensive lineman out of his comfort zone where he starts thinking, well, I'm never going to get there. Like I said, you got a 3-step drop. Hey, get the ball, 1, 2, 3, throw it. Get the ball, 1, 2, 3, throw it. If you do that enough, just like I had someone show me in school, high school, they put a cap on a jar that had fleas in it.
Yeah.
And the fleas keep jumping and they hit the top of the cap. After a while, if you take that cap off, they won't jump out of that because they've hit their head so much that they're trained that it's going to be gone.
I got you.
You do that with the defensive line. When you 3-step drop them enough, the ball is gone before they get there.
Yeah.
And then when you do decide to drop back 5, now they have to restart because they're naturally going to stop after 3 steps. Now they got to restart again. You have to do that.
So you're saying that you're changing their eyes on the depth of the quarterback, so that way they keep seeing the same thing, that whenever you do have that 5-step and they're able to have those longer progression routes that are at the 15 to 25 yard range, you start to sprinkle that in so that it's keeping the defensive line off balance, right?
Exactly. You have to keep the defensive line off balance. I mean, even if they're not good, I mean, it makes it makes you such a better team to keep anyone off balance if you play in sports.
Man, I'm telling you, that's exactly what I was hoping to get from you on that one, because I mean, let's face it, you probably forgot more football than I am.
Hopefully I keep some of it. I mean, no, but seriously, yeah, you don't use it, you forget it.
Yep. But I do want to say thank you to Leslie Byram, one of our biggest fans, chimed in and says, definitely looks like it's going to be a sellout crowd today. Hope the fans have something to cheer about.
Hey, I'm hoping the same thing. I'm hoping that if this game does get out of hand, either way, us or them, it's late in the game. It doesn't happen until everyone's saying, "Oh, it's so late now. Ain't no use in leaving. Ain't no leaving early. We're here. We might as well wait until the fat lady sings."
And honestly, the defense this year has kept Arkansas in games into the fourth quarter. Not only into it, but damn near to the end of the fourth quarter. I mean, you look at the Oklahoma State game. Listen, I understand that Arkansas, people say that Arkansas should be 5-0. I don't.
I do.
See, that's where we disagree a little bit there.
Because I think with the way things have gone, they should be 5-0.
And that's one of the things. This is the next thing I want to pick your brain about, because this is a reason why is because Houston Nutt was presented this question a couple of days ago, and quite honestly, he didn't give a good answer. And the reason why I think is because I think he was kind of tiptoeing around it a little bit. If you want to answer it, that's great. But it's a very straightforward question. How are you able to get a team that's not used to playing with each other to be able to finish games, and not only finish, but finish on top?
I mean, the way I try to keep my guys focused when I was coaching, and that's what it is. You got to keep them. You got to keep them focused. Greg Thomas asked me, I think last year when he coaches basketball and they were undefeated.
Hell of a run too, 40-0.
They were undefeated, and he called me sometime late in that season. He said, "Man, how do I keep these guys focused?" He actually asked a lot of us. We have a conference text message thing when he posted it, and he's trying to figure out how to keep some of these guys focused because he thought he was losing some of their attention.
Yeah,
and we came up with some ideas, but mine was, you know what, Greg, you know these guys better than we do.
Yeah,
kids these days, you can't do like coaches did when we were playing. That doesn't work. You have to get each one of them individually and find out what works for them.
Yeah.
So you got to spend the time to find out what works for that kid. It's not a group thing anymore. It's a fine. Okay, this works for him. I need to find out what works for little Johnny. It may not work for Big John, but it works for little Johnny.
And that's where, like you said, it's knowing the personnel, it's knowing the kids, knowing what buttons to push to be able to get the maximum potential they have. And I think at the end of the, you're going into the middle part of the fourth quarter. The first thing that you're thinking of is, okay, where are we at on the scoreboard? How am I feeling? How is the momentum looking whenever we get on the field? Have they been whipping us for the last 2 quarters after we had a great first quarter? I mean, those sorts of things, I feel like they play into how the game ends because momentum swings so much in the fourth quarter. Sometimes.
Yes. I mean, I don't. I guess for a lot of us it was different. Even though it's a team sport, to us it was still an individual battle. I mean, and even when the game's out of hand, it's still a pride thing. I'm still not gonna let you beat me.
Yeah.
Not even one play. I'm still coming. and you have to find what makes that kid clicks like that. So I don't know. Maybe some of them don't, but for the most part, it's a gladiator sport. They click like that. You just find what works for them.
Whenever you have, I know that players respond differently to different approaches, and it's kind of what we're talking about a little bit. But if you've got players that they practice okay, but whenever the lights come on, it's like star power hits. I think Arkansas's got a couple of those guys. When you look at TJ Metcalf, for instance, whenever the game needed to be decided, he was Johnny on the spot.
Right.
He closes out the UAB game with an interception, follows that up with 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and was SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Landon Jackson last week in the jury world had, I think it was 2 sacks or 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and was SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Arkansas's had players pop. Now it's time to shine. It's ABC. It's Razorback Stadium. The second night game, Otis pointed this out to me, of the season, because the first was the UAPB game. That was in the evening as well. But this one means a lot more, not only because it's on ABC, it's Tennessee, and this is Arkansas's first SEC league game this year at home.
Okay, you remember that first week when you what did you say to me that what was the quote that the University of Pine Bluff receiver said about Arkansas DBs?
Oh yeah, slow.
I've already made up my mind on it, but we're getting ready to find out.
I got you.
Today we're getting ready to find out.
Yeah, and we're going to go over that here in just a few moments, because we have got a lot to unpack with the you're going to talk to us a little bit about the Arkansas offense versus that Tennessee defense. I'm going to talk to everybody a little bit about the Tennessee offense versus the Arkansas defense here in just after the break. And then later on in the show, we're going to go over the SEC league games this week. There's 6 total. We'll kind of go over those. Alabama's not faring too well against Anchors Down.
Has the score not changed yet?
I don't know, man. We have to double check.
Because Alabama was down, people.
They were getting whipped. They're starting to come back a little bit.
Okay, they're still down by 9.
It's a 9-point game.
Yeah.
Minute left, second quarter. But we'll go over the SEC slate this week, and because Arkansas's got the last game of the night for the league. And then we'll also go in and congratulate the Twitter follower that guessed the score, the score prediction, not correct, but got the closest. He won a $25 gift certificate to Torchys Tacos, and we'll go over that here in just a few minutes. So everybody sit back. We've got all kinds of stuff to unpack. Make sure to throw up your score predictions as well, and put those on the Twitter page, so that way you can like and follow that, so you can qualify to win the $25 gift certificate here to Torchys Tacos. We are live here in Fayetteville with the Arkansas pregame show. We'll be back in just a moment. And everybody, welcome back to the Arkansas Pregame Show by Hogville.net and hosted and presented by and sponsored by Torchys Tacos with locations in Rogers and Fayetteville. Make sure to check out their full-service bar. They got plenty of TVs back here for you to catch any of the football games going on across the U.S. or across the nation. Also, make sure to check out their house-made queso that's made in-house fresh daily. And also check out that Taco of the Month, Marshall. I don't know if you're into it or not, but I kind of like those. The salmon Baja. I think it's going to be pretty good. I have to try that, though, as well. If you go over to the QR code on the top right corner of the screen, that is actually a direct link to the Torchys Tacos website. And you can get all of their great merchandise, some food. Come by, pick it up, order it online, and actually, it's both the QR codes there, so I'm actually going to take that off and put the SEC logo on there. Got all 16 teams on that one. And Jonathan and his staff, and also Marcus and his staff and Rogers, a good job taken care of. So we were talking a little bit about the A&M game, kind of the deficiencies that Arkansas had last week, and kind of broke down what we saw not only with the front part of the offensive line and what they were doing, what you kind of talked about, how to kind of fix some of that. Also talked about finishing. And I think that's one of the things that Razorback fans are a little frustrated about, is because you're in it. You're in it in the fourth quarter. You've taken possibly one of the Big 12 teams that might be in the championship game, that might get to the final 12 CFP, to overtime at their house. And A&M team that's on top of the SEC right now, they're 3-0. They just completely obliterated Missouri, which, by the way,
they look good.
They look real good. And I'm going to tell you what, I know Eli Drinkwitz is from Arkansas, and I know that he's talked a lot of crap about the Razorbacks and the state of Arkansas. But you know what? Watching him get smoked, man, it just had a little bit of a more special place in my heart today.
Hey, I'm with you on that one.
Man, I'm going to tell you what. Some of those, and I know that Otis, he calls Hugh Freeze Hugh Sleeves.
Okay, I'm not going to even ask why, but okay.
Man, something about some cell phones at Ole Miss. We'll talk about that later. If not, anybody out here can also look that one up too, because I'm going to tell you what, man, that guy. Anyway, nonetheless, we'll just keep moving on here. So let's talk a little bit about the Arkansas breakdown against Tennessee today, okay? So you're looking at the Arkansas offense going up against that Tennessee defense today. What are some of the keys that Taylon Green, Quinton Jackson, Andrew Armstrong, by the way, those three lead, or the top three in the SEC in yards gained through 2 games, in the SEC. And those types of stats are not flukes. It's because of the scheme. It's also because of the way Bobby has been able to approach defenses. They're getting points. They're getting, stops. They're not stops. Sorry. They're getting first downs, which, by the way, third down, did you know that they're still tops in the nation?
No, I did not know that.
They are tops in the nation still through 5 games in converting third downs. With that being said, which, by the way, third down is always the most critical down, because you're trying to hold off fourth down. And when you're still giving yourself a chance, that's one of the reasons why Arkansas has been in the game in the fourth quarter. What does Arkansas need to do today to continue that?
First off, they're going to have to block that great defensive line of Tennessee.
Yeah.
You can't go into this game leaving one of those guys to run free, especially not the edge one. Kalen is good enough to get away from most defensive linemen, but it's going to be hard when it's an edge guy, because the edge guys are pretty quick, and they're usually about the size of a linebacker. So,
yeah,
I say if we protect the ball, if we protect Green, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a really good offensive game for Arkansas. But it's all about protecting him. I mean, because and we saw it last week, because once he gets that look on his face like he's not there no more, hell, he can't hit the side of this building.
No.
I mean, we've seen it. But when he's there, he's there. He's good.
When he was dialed in, he's got that confidence. That's whenever you see this offense not only click, but have rhythm. And when you get an athlete in rhythm, it's pretty hard to stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just need to Bobby needs to find a way to keep him engaged with the game and on a positive note, because you can tell he was thinking about way too much. I mean, he has to start thinking more like a defensive back. Defensive backs, you know what? They get burnt. Okay. 5 seconds later, they're not thinking about that no more. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. And looked like he was holding on to every bad thing that was happening to him.
I've heard some people talk this week and saying, Nico, we're going to get to Nico here in a minute, because that guy, we're going to get his star freshman from out of California. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him a little bit. But with Talon, I've heard a lot of people say this week, hey, you know what? Why don't we run the ball 30, 35 times? We have a great run offensive line. We're having some problems with pass blocking. Let's pare this down a little bit. Let Jaquindon, let Braylon Russell. By the way, Rashad Dubinion's going to be in action today as well, which is the first of the season for him. And you have 3 backs, one that's pretty fast with Jaquindon. Also, Rashad is not too slow himself. And then you got the the power of Braylon Russell. Arkansas has been able to run the ball almost at will, but the thing is that it's whenever in those passing downs, they've been struggling. That's why I think some of these fans have wanted to see more running.
I agree, but I mean, and you and me both know that, yeah, we can line up and run the ball that many times a game, but it's not going to work. Running the ball, yes, you can dominate defensive linemen if they're not sure what you're going to do. But when they know what you're going to do, it gets a little harder.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing I learned last week, which I didn't know. I guess I didn't do my homework, because I was kind of critical on our big running back when it came to blocking, because he hadn't showed me that he's a very good blocker.
Yeah.
I didn't know he used to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, that explains a lot. Okay.
Oh, no.
I mean, how many quarterbacks can block?
I don't know. He looks the part.
He looks the part.
He looks the part.
He looks the part.
You imagine seeing that guy coming at you on a quarterback draw?
Yeah, I'm going for his ankles probably. So,
business decision at that point.
Definitely a business decision. No, it's blocking is it's a 1-2 thing. I mean,
yeah.
And when you've never done it, it's hard to teach it right off the bat. And quarterbacks don't block. I mean, that explained a lot.
You're a former running back.
Okay.
What you saw last week in pass protection, what did that make you think? How did it make you feel?
It made me feel like the offensive blocking scheme wasn't there. It makes me, and I don't know who comes up with the blocking scheme for that stuff. I don't know if it's Bobby or I don't know if it's the offensive line coach. All I know is whoever put that scheme in for the plays that was being called, they failed. Because it should never happen. Even if that was your plan, is to leave one guy free, not that guy. I mean, not that guy.
Do you think that Talon might be a little bit too dependent on having Bobby or whoever in his ear? Because he has a mic in his helmet that can help him with protection. You can see the defense from where he's at, or they're able to get a look at it. But at that 15-second mark on the play clock, that mic gets cut off.
Right.
Do you think that with getting the play clock inside of 15 seconds, he's making incorrect line calls and not sticking with what they were telling him?
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's what, because you don't have enough time to go over all of that stuff. He gives them the play call, and usually that first number that he calls is the protection call. Mm-hmm. And once he gives that protection call to those linemen, you probably got a captain on that line that changes it if they see something different. I don't think it was Green making that call after Bobby gave it to him. All he's thinking about at this point, okay, what my receiver's doing, what the secondary is doing. He's not thinking about the protection no more.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's the way I would think he would be thinking.
So tonight it's going to be at 6:44. That's going to be kickoff tonight on ABC. We're here at Torchys Tacos here in Fayetteville. A great host that they are, treating us with great hospitality, making sure that we're getting drinks, getting fed, and all that good stuff. So if you guys are in the area coming by to go to the game, stop by, grab some tacos, and then head up to the stadium. So this is so hard to kind of talk about a little bit because you see Talon, he's getting some movement in the pocket, trying to make things happen. He's throwing 60% completion rate outside of the pocket, 50% completion inside of the pocket. What does Bobby need to do today to be able to keep that 60%? Because listen, if Talon's hitting 60%, I think Arkansas has a good chance of winning. But at the same time, you got to be able to mitigate some of what the defensive ends are doing so that he can run free a little bit.
I don't know what he needs to do, but that percentage number to me doesn't mean a lot unless that's what your goal is, to keep the percentage high. Because I'm pretty sure that Green Bay had a quarterback in their past that percentage was never very high, but he's a he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And trust me, his percentage was never that high.
I think you're talking about Brett Favre.
Yes, I am.
Aha.
No, I mean, if that's what you're playing for, yeah, great. I get it. But the percentages are just percentage. They're what they are. I mean, you may look at another percentage. What's his percentage on completing the deep passes?
I have not looked at that yet.
Look at that. I mean, because if he has the highest percentage on that, now that's going to make a big difference. Mm-hmm. You can throw those 2-yard passes all day and have 80% passing rating.
But you're probably going to throw for under 200 yards,
exactly,
and no touchdowns,
exactly.
And that's what Arkansas needs is they need Talon to be able to punish Tennessee in the deep ball a little bit, because that's going to, if they are able to blow the top off once or twice, that's going to make that front four honest, and it's going to make the running game more effective.
I agree. I'm gonna say this again. I said it the first week. It helps me a lot to test my player at the beginning of the game. Meaning, okay, as far as the offensive line and their defensive line is supposed to be that good,
yeah,
I'm going to find out right now how good they are, because I want to find out if my guys can block them or if I'm going to have to figure out another way to do this. And if my guys stand up and hold the protection, okay, now I know. I'm fine. Now we can do whatever we want to do. But if I already know that, okay, we have problems, we can't block them, now what we doing? We're going to go back to that 3-step drop, throw the ball, and try something else. Get them a little off balance. I mean, you'd like to go and run the ball most of the time, but yeah, I mean, I don't think they're that good. I mean, even your best run blocking line has a problem when they know you're running.
What is it like to have, and I know that when you played transport portal, like if you heard the word transfer portal, you were sitting there, it did not register as a player going from school to school. You just transferred, and that's it.
I would think I was transferring from one train or plane to another one. I mean, transport portal. Hold on.
Whenever you hear transfer portal these days, one of the first things that fans honestly think is, oh crap, here we go again. You got Addison Nichols, center for Arkansas. He's a Tennessee transfer. He played there last year.
Right.
If you had a player playing their former team, don't you get a little more juiced up?
Oh, yes.
Don't you get a little
yes. I mean, for one, I'll be wanting to show the coach that, okay, this is what you lost. You lost me. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm good. I'm killing you out here.
That's why I'm starting here and not there. I mean, didn't think I was that good, but by God, they thought I was that good. Whenever you have, say, Addison he's the center. Doesn't that kind of help the offensive line tonight? Because he has seen that defensive front four in practice over and over and over again. He knows their tendencies.
Yes.
And how is that going to help Arkansas tonight being able to maybe mitigate some of what, Tennessee was able to do 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma?
Oh, that should help a lot. I mean, you got a guy that's from that camp. He can tell you what every player's strength is. He can tell you what he likes to do. He can tell you what his moves are. I mean, we all have different tendencies. And I guarantee one offensive lineman knows the tendency of one defensive lineman. So, hey, if they talk at all, you should know. And I would have been asking if I have a center that played over there and I'm playing tackle, I'm asking him, hey, what does this defensive end over here like to do? What's his strength? I mean, that way, and I guarantee he knows. I don't know if they've talked and asked those questions, but yeah, it helps a lot.
You'd have to think so too, because Arkansas's got a defensive player, a defensive back that's from Tennessee or played for Tennessee also last year. We're gonna get into that in a minute. But whenever you have somebody like that come in, and we've talked about this before the show, where Arkansas is having problems whenever you got 5-on-5 hats, you got 5-on-6 hats, and they're having a hard time keeping that line together. Whenever you know that defensive line, is it going to make it a little bit easier for them, or are they still going to present the same sort of problems that you saw last week from such a great defensive line with A&M?
I don't know, man. I don't know how to look at that. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I'm hoping there was a communication gap between the play that Bobby was calling and the blocking scheme that was being performed. I mean, because there's no way there's no way to make me believe that it was Bobby's intention to leave that guy running free.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm surprised he didn't have an aneurysm on the sidelines the way he's wired. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, would any offensive coordinator or head coach want to leave their best rusher free against your quarterback? I mean, you're asking for problems.
Yeah. And Arkansas was still in the game until the very last drive. That was the crazy thing about it too. Arkansas had a chance to win the game. Now, granted, it was, I think, and they had to march 80 yards to do that, but they still had a chance.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all you ask your defense to do. And we're going to go on that in just a second. Is that you're asking your defense, just give me a chance to get back on the field one last time. Give me one more drive. Let me make something happen.
Yeah, but we can't keep asking that. How many games did we lose last year by one score or less?
5.
Yeah, we can't keep asking that. I mean, that's going to get you fired.
Yeah.
Because obviously we haven't found a way to win those games. I mean,
that was the difference between 4-8 and 9-3.
Yes. So
last year
we can't keep doing that.
And again, 1-score games at the end of the game.
1-score game.
And I know that a lot of folks have really hammered Sam for that very fact, because those things start to pile up whenever you're not making the turn in recruiting. You've made the turn in coaching. I firmly believe that. What he did with the offensive side of the ball this year is what he did with the defensive side of the ball last year. He revamped it. He got, if not as good at coaches, he got better coaches in there that is able to work with the players that they have. Because you didn't see that last year with Dan Enos before he got canned.
Oh, I agree with that, especially on the defensive side. I mean, I'm sitting watching those games on the defensive side. Last year, I'm like, this is your typical coach that cannot change anything that he does. He's doing the same thing over and over. He's running he'd run the defensive lineman in the ground. I'm like, you have extra bodies over there. Give those guys a break. I mean, he'd just run them in the ground. And what most football coaches don't realize, once you drain that tank all the way to the bottom, you're not going to get it back that day. That's why you give him a break so you don't drain it. You may get about 70% of it back, but that day you can't run that tank empty and expect him to give you something late in the game. It's not going to happen.
So let's transition into the defensive side of the ball for Arkansas against that Tennessee offense, because let's listen. They got a hell of a running back. He's one of those guys that he doesn't avoid contact, he makes contact.
That's my kind of guy.
And I think that Arkansas, I think their linebackers are going to have their hands full today with Brad Spence and Xavier Sori. They're going to have a hard. I wouldn't say day, but they're going to have a hard time trying to contain him because Arkansas plays the 4-2-5,
Right.
and I know that. And this is where I wanted to come in with this is Danico Slaughter. You're going to see a lot of him at Hog today. He played also at Tennessee last year. Going against his former team, man, I'm going to tell you what, like you said, those type of guys light up a little bit more. They're ready to go. They know the tendencies. But the only thing is that they haven't seen he may have seen him because I think that Nico is a redshirt freshman, but Nico Imealeva, the quarterback for Tennessee, has been stellar this year through 4 games. Now, he had some trouble against OU, and let's face it, OU's defense is great. No matter how bad their offense is, they always have a great defense.
Oh, hold on. You talking about Oklahoma Sooners?
Yeah.
You talking about a team in the Big 12 having defense? Come on, man.
Hey.
They don't play defense in the Big 12.
They're trying to this year in the SEC. They have to.
Well, yeah, they have to now. But
they have to.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you are right. They have a pretty stout defense. I mean, they had one. I mean, unlike a lot of teams in the Big 12, but I don't know.
I want to get into this here really quick too. Hold on just a second, because I'm going to bring up the stat leaders here for Tennessee on the offensive side. Dylan Sampson, he's got 449 yards this season, just behind Jaquindon Jackson. I think Jaquindon is first in the SEC in yards. He only gained 49 yards last week, and he's still first in the SEC if I'm not mistaken. I got to double check that really quick. I know second is. I just got to double check on that here in just a minute. I got to wait for that to pull up. But Arkansas's. I wouldn't say they've not been a bend but not break type this year. They've been trying to keep everything in front of them in the front 7. They've done a great job of it so far. I fully believe that Dylan Sampson's not going to have a great game just because of the game plan that we've seen so far with the rushing attacks that from A&M, from Auburn, from Oklahoma State. T. Will and Coach Wood have had great game plans going into those games. But today, if they do not get pressure on Nico, he is going to sit back there. He is going to pick them apart. And if he can pick them apart, then he can also break them down with his legs. That's where Arkansas's defense has got to be able to pin their ears back and get some pressure on him, disrupt his rhythm, and make him get a little bit out of comfort.
They're definitely going to have to do that. And Arkansas has not shown me that they can do that with that defensive line. I mean, unless I've been watching a different game, they haven't shown me that they can consistently get to the quarterback. They're going to have to find some way to get there without blitzing. Blitzing, fine. I'm all about blitzing, and it works. Mm-hmm. But you got to be able to get there with just 4 sometime, too, and they haven't done that.
And Jaquindon also got 509 yards rushing on the season. Did you know that Arkansas scored 9 rushing touchdowns last year as a team?
Really?
You know how many? You know how many rushing touchdowns Jaquindon's got this year?
No.
9. He has totaled what Arkansas did last year on his own.
I have a question. Yep. How many touchdowns do the guy's place that he took have right now? Because I told Kerry.
Rocket?
No.
Oh.
I told Kerry that he's going to play for Malzahn.
Oh,
I say he may set the college world on fire.
KJ.
I say because he don't have to think about anything. When Malzahn calls the play, he tells you who to throw it to and everything else.
Yeah, he spoon feeds it.
Yeah.
Guess what? He had an OC that did the same damn thing. You know who that was? Kendall Briles. Guess what?
Yeah, he
did the same thing. But you know what? KJ had statistically his best year in 2021 when they won the Outback Bowl against Penn State.
Right.
He had a guy back there spoon feeding it to him, just like you said with what Malzahn's doing. Dan Enos expected him to be able to take the playbook and decipher himself.
No, he can't do that. He can't do that. We've known that since he got here. Mm-hmm. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a damn good athlete, but you can't expect him to think his way out of all those predicaments.
No.
He can't do it.
So you've got Josh Heupel in that offense. They're clicking this year. They really are. And you got to give credit where credit's due. We're going to go back and, actually, here in a little bit of the 2-minute warning, I want to ask you a Josh Heupel question.
Okay.
I know you and him have got, I wouldn't say history, but I mean, you guys had a passing at least. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
He still owed me.
You might have to go down the road and cash that check.
Yeah, really.
So he's thrown for 892 yards this year. He's got 7 touchdowns, and he's only got 2 interceptions. And I mean, and I know that you don't want to put a lot of stock into completion percentage, but he's throwing in almost 70%. That right there that means that you're not only serviceable, but you're actually pretty efficient. You're getting guys the ball in spots where they can catch them. That's where Arkansas's defensive secondary is going to have some problems. You're going to get Hudson Clark back today. Huddy's going to be coming back.
Okay, is he going to be playing safety or corner, you know?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't think a lot of – I know we haven't been able to watch or listen to the pregame show with Rick and the other guy. I don't want to talk with him.
Okay.
I mean, anyway, so but we haven't heard exactly where he's going to fit in. I know that the injury report come out. Luke has got some back problems. We've seen that now. We saw it against Oklahoma State in that touchdown catch that he made, and then we also saw it last week against A&M. He's got a little bit of back issues. Andreas Paskey, he's also got some issues. I don't think he's playing today. One of the defensive ends that will be playing is Anton Juncash. I finally got it right. He's the guy that Nico Davier has been coming in for, and Nico has been having a great time since he's been filling in. And I made this joke on Thursday, and I told Otis, I was like, we're gonna have to watch out because we might see some Nico on Nico crime.
That's funny, yeah.
And you know what? I want to see that defensive line really pin their ears back. Give Xavier Sori, Brad Spence, Carson Dean, those guys, I want to see them get some holes in that offensive line that they can shoot through on a delayed blitz, because we haven't seen a lot of delayed blitzes this year. It's either been twists or stunts up front.
Yeah.
And they haven't been getting pressure. You're going to have to bring that 5th guy up there.
I mean, if they don't find a way to get there, it's going to be an early game.
Yeah.
People are going to be leaving early. So we have to find a way to get to the quarterback.
That's where the defensive secondary is going to be really tested. I mean, they've got guys in the back that can play. They've got guys that can make plays. It's the execution. It's the execution now, because now you've got to go out there and go against a top 5 team. Because let's face it, the last time that Tennessee came to Arkansas and were ranked as high as they are was 1999 when Clint Sterner found Anthony Eubanks. Or was it Anthony Eubanks, or was he's going to kill me too, because I text him every once in a while too. I know exactly who it is. It wasn't Anthony Eubanks. I know for a fact. I'm going to have to double check on that here in just a second. In the back of the end zone, they tore the goalpost down. They marched it down to Dixon Street. It was a great win. It was more the redemption game when the year before, when Clint put the ball on the ground. They picked it up, and then they had Jamal Lewis run it down Arkansas's throat, basically ran it into a national championship.
Yeah.
I know who it was. It's Cool Hand Luke, Anthony Lucas.
Oh, it's Lucas.
I think it was Cool Hand Luke. They called him that one.
Yeah.
So Arkansas has a little bit of history on their side, but again, it doesn't really matter much because, I mean, listen, that was 25 years ago if you think about that.
It's been that long?
It's been 25 years.
Damn.
I know, right? Makes me feel old too.
Yeah. 25 years. Okay.
Man, I'm tell you, I keep thinking about that stuff. I'm gonna get gray hair. I don't need any more gray hair.
Yeah, your daughter's gonna give you the gray hair.
I know she is. I love her to death.
Yeah.
She's going to.
Yeah.
Just like your kids have too, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Man, oh man. So that pretty much wraps up the looking at the Arkansas offense and defense versus this Tennessee team that's ranked 4th in the country. It's going to basically it is going to come down to execution and who is going to have the ball last, I think. I do think that Arkansas will lose. I predicted them to lose 38-24. I think Arkansas is going to get their points, but I just think that Tennessee's defense or Tennessee's offense is going to be able to score enough to get them over the top because they've had a week off. They had a bye week this week coming into the Arkansas game. So not only did they have a chance to rest up, they had a little bit of an extra time to look and see what A&M did to that Arkansas offense.
Right.
And so you have a week off. Really, it helps you a little bit more.
I mean, it does. If the coaches do what they're supposed to.
Mhm.
I mean, you give me an extra week to learn what the people do. Yeah, it's definitely going to help. And it also can it also can make you a little sluggish,
Yeah,
because you haven't seen game speed for a couple weeks. And we hope that that's the issue. I hope that happens. At least Arkansas can jump on them early, and maybe they'll quit.
I don't know. We'll see. It's pretty warm out there, but when that sun goes down, man, it's going to cool off. It's going to be in the 70s, and I mean that really could benefit the Arkansas offensive line with it not being so damn hot out there, because you saw it against A&M. You also saw it against Oklahoma State. Guys are cramping up. Guys are exhausted. So we'll have to see. So let's go over this. Let's take a look at the SEC today in the SEC scoreboard, and also presented by Torchys Tacos with locations here in Fayetteville and Rogers. So you got Auburn, which is the oldest rivalry in college football outside of Michigan and Ohio State.
Right.
Auburn goes down to the hedges. They are trailing 28-10 right now. 12:34 left in the fourth quarter. I didn't think that Auburn was going to be able to go in there and create a lot of issues. I thought that Georgia was going to come in with a little bit of a hangover in the first half, pick it up in the second half, and it looks like they've been pretty even across the board. They put a score on the board for every quarter so far. So they're up 28-10 at this point. Any thoughts on with Georgia and having that huge loss at Alabama last week? It was so heartbreaking.
No, the thoughts is the same thing I said before the season. Actually, after the first week of season,
Yeah,
Georgia is not as strong as they have been in the past few years. I mean, neither is Alabama, but Alabama do have Melrose, so he makes a big difference.
Yeah, he does.
But no,
He's a passer, not thrower now.
He's going to say it again?
He's a passer, not a thrower now.
Oh, yeah. He's an all-around quarterback now. I think Georgia's missing the high-profile quarterbacks they're used to. I mean, this kid is good, but he's not what they've had the last few years.
No, they haven't. So you got Ole Miss. They traveled to Palmetto State, taking on South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium. They are up 27-3 with a minute 44 left in the third quarter. I expected them to really bounce back in a big way because of the way everything went down last week, with Mark Stoops in Kentucky coming in there, really smashing them in the mouth and giving them everything that they could ask for and more.
Hey, I like it. I mean, that game, I was disappointed at the end because I knew they were giving them an out because, but they got lucky. They pulled it off. But I was glad to see it. I mean, you know how most Arkansans don't like University of Texas?
Yeah.
That's the way I am about Ole Miss.
I got you.
Ole Miss, I mean, they were dirty to us when we went down there good Lord. They were nasty. I mean, we beat their butts, but they were nasty.
Yeah.
The fans were nasty. So I don't like them. I was glad to see that loss.
Yeah, there's quite a few guys on your team, I do believe, that feel the exact same way you do on that one.
Yeah.
So Alabama at Vanderbilt, this was another game that I had penciled where I think that there was going to be a little bit of a letdown in the first half and then start to pick momentum back up in the second half. I think you're starting to see that. Vanderbilt jumped on them early. They were up 23 to 10, it was 23-7 at one point, and then they clawed back, and now it's 21-23 with 12:01 left in the third quarter. I think that Kalen DeBoer is finally able to wake up that Alabama offense a little bit. They don't need an all-world game today. It's Vanderbilt. All they need to do is score 24, 26, 28, one more. It doesn't matter because in the SEC so far, going into last week, did you know that SEC road teams were 7-1 going into last week? The only home win an SEC team had against an SEC opponent was Missouri with a 3-point win over Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago in overtime.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, it's kind of evened up. It's 9-4, but those road teams are still having a lot of success. Now, if it was like, Georgia, Alabama, A&M, or LSU, and they had 3 or 4 SEC road wins, I would say, okay, that's a little bit of a skewed metric, but this was not. This was, South Carolina and going down or facing LSU, and LSU damn near losing it. They beat them. Then you had South Carolina go to Kentucky and smoke them, but then Kentucky goes to Ole Miss and smokes them. And so there is a lot of parity going on right now. I mean, it's looking like it's more the same thing now with the road teams this week.
I mean, it's SEC. I mean, anybody can win. Some teams are just better on the road. I mean, because there's not as much distraction. That's what the coaches tell us anyway. We're not as distracted sometime on the road games because we don't know anybody.
So we're gonna fast forward now to the Florida UCF game. Now there's a 3 degrees of separation with the Arkansas contingent with this game. You've got Dan Enos, which is an offensive quality control assistant for Florida. You've got Gus Malzahn and KJ Jefferson at the University of Central Florida. Central Florida was a 2.5-point favorite coming into today, and now the money line's moved to a 1.5-point favorite. Billy Napier might be on the chopping block after this one's over with because, like you said, KJ's getting information spoon-fed to him.
Oh, yeah.
He goes down there and he smokes Florida. I think we're going to be on Napier watch tomorrow.
Oh, I guarantee we are. I mean, he's going to watch anyway, but I think Florida's going to be too strong and going to make it a pretty easy win late in the game. But that'd be great. I mean, no, I can't ask for SEC team to get beat.
That's some SEC hate right there.
Yeah, no. I have love for Florida.
Oh man, that's gotta be a yicky taking that in your mouth.
Hey, I'm just saying. I mean, I couldn't say that if it had been Ole Miss. I have no love there.
So you saw earlier Texas A&M thoroughly whipped. I mean, took Missouri back to the woodshed, and they beat that ass today. They really beat that ass today.
Did anyone really believe that they were number 9 in the country?
They did.
Anyone else?
Not outside the state of Missouri.
I guarantee there's no one else that knows football would sit and say, "Oh yeah, they're number 9. They deserve it." Come on, man.
They haven't played anybody.
They haven't played no one.
And they escaped Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They go down on the road on a true road test against a good team in A&M. And they got whipped. A&M's now top in the conference. Who'd have thought that after that Irish loss?
Yeah. Think if they'd have won that game, they might be number 9 right now.
5.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah. That was a game they should have won too.
Yeah,
because Notre Dame's not that good.
Connor Wegman also started today. I didn't think he would. Marcel Reed ended up sitting, and I think that's the difference that you saw today. Also,
Their quarterback play is definitely the difference. So,
how about that? Just got a update here. Y'all see on SEC Network, Arkansas and Tennessee players almost got in a fight in their suites.
What suites?
I don't know about
suites. Where? They staying in the same hotel?
I don't know.
What? I want to know what suites they're talking about.
We got to get some. If anybody has any info on that one or any background on that, please let us know, because I'm telling you what, I don't know about that. But so last one, Arkansas is. Did you know that Arkansas has not covered against the spread in the last 7 home games that they have had? You talked about teams that are better on the road than they are at home. This team right behind us, last year into this year, they haven't really had a chance this year. I mean, UAB, but yeah. I mean, we're not going to talk about that. But first SEC home game of the season for Arkansas. Which, did you know that Tennessee also hasn't played an SEC home game yet?
Really?
Yeah. They got all of their non-con out of the way, and then they started on the road, and then they had a bye week. So there's going to be the second week in October, I think, before they actually get a SEC home game. This is Arkansas's first SEC home game of the season. They have I think that there are 12. It's a 4. It moved to 14. It's been at 12.5 for a while.
Right.
So there's been a considerable move on the money line to 14 now. Arkansas is a 2-touchdown score dog. I don't know if you want to take the points on that one. It depends on honestly what type of offensive line comes out of the locker room today. If it's an offensive line that's ready to whoop somebody and whip the tail of the guy in front of them, I think they got a chance. But I just don't know if the defense can hold up against the Tennessee offense today.
Like I said, we're gonna find out if the statement that the UAPB receiver said is true today.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It's all like. Well, I'm not gonna go there. I was gonna say bring up a Cat Williams quote, but I'm not gonna do that because it's all gonna be revealed in 2024.
All right, so we got the 2-minute warning real quick. We're gonna swap some stories here at the end of the show. You talked a little bit about Josh Heupel's got a check that you need to cash at his. You want to tell me about that?
After let's see, this was after my college playing days and after my arena football playing day. Actually, I was on a break from arena football, and me and a few guys that we played a lot of competitive football, flag football at the time. So we were traveling all over the country playing this competitive flag football. And at the time, Greg Thomas wasn't available to me, so I needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
One of the receivers I had on my flag football team was a receiver that played at Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You know what?" He said, "I can get us a quarterback." I'm like, "Well, okay. Well, who you got?" He said, "Josh who?" It's at Heupel. I'm like, "So how you gonna get him? He's not doing anything right now. He's done playing college." So he called him. Josh said yes. Okay. Our next game was, I want to say, about a month and a half away, and I don't know, about a week before the game, he said he can't make it. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
That's a commitment, man.
Yes. So I'm still mad at him about that.
There are commitment issues or something?
But no. Yeah, we were excited that he was going to come play with us because it was a big competitive deal back then. So.
Man, I got a couple of Tennessee stories. Actually, a Tennessee story and then a offshoot Tennessee story. So a couple of years ago, I was at SEC Media Days and got a chance to talk to David Cutcliffe, former offensive coordinator at Tennessee, head coach at Ole Miss, Duke. And he asked me, he's like, "Hey, got a story for you. You got a second?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "All right, so we fly into Fayetteville, into Drake Field, which tells me this is in the 90s. And he said, we got this stud defensive lineman from Georgia. Great athlete. Fly in, we get on the bus. And we had an Arkansas offensive lineman that was really kind of anticipating coming back to Arkansas and playing.
Right.
From Little Rock area. He said, we get on the bus, we start to drive, and defensive lineman stands up. I'm not using names here. Defensive lineman stands up and says, "Hey, what are those out there?" He's like, and offensive lineman from Arkansas said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Those out there." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Those are the most messed up looking cows I ever saw." He goes, "You idiot, those are llamas." He said he had everybody on the bus rolling.
Wow.
I'm telling you, man, sometimes if you don't get out of the city and if you don't get yourself exposed to certain things, you may not know that. So, but
you don't know what you don't know. Is that what you're saying?
I guess you don't know what you don't know.
Okay.
And so then last one, Cut was at Ole Miss. It's Eli Manning's first fall camp. Get him in. Freshmen are doing their freshman thing. And Manning breaks into Cutcliffe's office. He gets into his phone, his iPhone, and he turned it to Chinese. Have you ever heard of a player having the balls to go up and change a coach's phone like that?
Yeah, we've had some players that would would possibly do some stuff like that too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hell, they're 18 to 22.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
That's
We're
true.
not thinking.
Well, that and there was a couple of other instances where it actually got Eli redshirted that year. He came up to Archie and said, "Hey, so here's the deal. I've had this, and this happen. I'm going to go ahead and redshirt him. He's not grown up enough to play and start for me." Archie said, "Do whatever you need to do."
Archie was probably thinking, "Hell, I could have told you that."
You think Sark's got had any problems with Arch down there in Texas so far?
No. I mean, he came in there, man. Granddad, dad, all of them. Hey, you have a quarterback. We don't expect him to play right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guarantee that was the best thing he could have heard out of that whole situation.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no pressure in playing him right now.
Can you imagine the pressure if Sark said, if they come up to Sark and said, "We want him starting right now"?
Oh,
You
yeah.
got Quinn Ewers?
That would have been a problem.
Oh, my God.
That would have been a problem.
It would have been a huge problem because I think you see Quinn Ewers probably not be there now.
Oh, no, he wouldn't have been. He'd left.
He'd have packed his crap and said, "I'm out of here." So,
Yeah.
Well, Marshall, it's been great. We're gonna have to cut this off. We got to get down to the stadium. And Arkansas, Tennessee, starting at 6:44 kickoff this evening. ABC, we're here live at Torchys Tacos in Fayetteville. Want to also thank our sponsor, Torchys and Rogers and Fayetteville, for everything that they do for us. Great hospitality, drinks, and food. And make sure to stop by any of the two locations at any time for some great queso, some great tacos, and some football. So for Marshall, myself, Jason, want to say thank you guys for joining us tonight, and go Hogs.